What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we are going over Polygon Matic, as we have seen a pretty strong reset on some of the short-term indicators that gives us a pretty clear picture of what we can expect from the price. Granted, we see a breakout towards the upside or towards the downside. And so with that being said, I'm going to let you guys know exactly today how I'm going about Polygon Matic over the next couple of days, the buys I'm planning to do, and exactly how I plan on capitalizing on this price movement that we have been seeing from the market. So looking at Polygon Matic, of course, the biggest thing we were focused on was this falling triangle. Well, now that we are out of the falling triangle, we are in a stage in which we could consider an accumulationary phase, or a phase in which we could consider, maybe this is the point in which Polygon Matic finally starts to see the growth in which we've been looking for. Now that we have started to see this growth, though, it is very important that we tread with caution, because when you break out from a key level of resistance, there are many times where you will see the continuation towards the downside to go retest this level of support without this key level of resistance above you, or you will consolidate. And I don't want to get caught up buying into a time in which we're either going to see this not do anything for a really long time, where my gains could be making gains somewhere else, or we see a time in which, we start making these purchases because we broke out, but it just continues towards the downside, okay? So looking at Polygon Matic right now, we have a very clear idea of the current structure of this move. As you can see, we did put in 3 tops right here, and that gave us a beautiful structure to follow right now. Let's give it $1.74. Now, what was so important about this move was that we needed to get back above the previous macro high, which was set right here at $1.70. The reason being is that, again, when you're coming out of a downtrend, what's the goal? Break the downtrend. How do you break a downtrend? Set a higher high, you set a higher low, right? I mean, a downtrend's a lower high and a lower low, so we need to set the higher high and the higher low. And the first step of that has been complete. We have set the higher high. Now, is this the higher low? I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced just yet, but we are in progress of creating what can be considered an uptrend, and that is what is of utmost importance to me. So looking at this point in which we are putting in these rejections at $1.74, we can automatically identify this as a key area of significance. So just by looking at the visuals of the chart, right? What we can see is we got this key level of rejection right here in which we put in something of a W bottom before eventually returning and revisiting back up towards this trend line. You can also see historically, we put in this high here before eventually seeing this strong correction towards the downside. We came back down at this point and put in this key level of support on that area. So it is no surprise to see us getting rejected at this level. But what that tells me is that in the event in which we are capable of successfully clearing it, there definitely could be the possibility of a continuation of growth, because that does imply that we could very possibly flip this resistance into support as we have back here. So not only, though, is 174 a key level of significance in terms of just the overall structure of Polygon's chart history, one thing we can do as well is if we just clear off this chart for a second, just for a sec here, and we draw a Fibonacci from this most recent macro swing high. I mean, this is the highest point that we've had since realistically the beginning of the year. One thing you can see is that we go ahead, we take our fibs, and we go swing high, down to swing low. And what you can see is around this level, we are sitting right at that 0.618 Fibonacci retracement zone. Now, you guys know that of all of the important resistance levels on the fibs, this is the most important in my opinion. This has the highest strike rate of either sending us right into some big continuation towards the upside or a really hard correction back towards the downside. Rejection off of this level typically does follow and is led by a pretty strong correction towards the downside, but usually when we're able to clear the 786 side, the top side of this box, we have a history of really seeing some pretty rapid growth. So considering the fact that we are seeing resistance happening at the exact time in which we are interacting with this macro swing high to swing low event Fibonacci, it is no surprise to again see this rejection. So going forward, what I'm looking for is that we get back above $1.74 on a daily close, and we do seem to hold it. Now, of course, I will be updating you guys, but what that's going to look like is multiple 4-hour closes above this point, optimally the daily close. But if we get, say, 3 or 4 or 5 4-hour closes and we're sitting above 174, I actually will be increasing my position in Matic, as I am under the belief at that given point that we are looking good for a continuation back up towards the previous highs that created this range, which looked like $2.07 to even $1.89. And from that point, if we were able to capture it somewhere around here, we could be looking at gains between 8 to even up to 20%, of course, in which I would want to take advantage of. Now, looking at this from more of an indicator-based perspective, one thing we can see is that we have seen a very strong reset here on the RSI. You look at our 4-hour RSI and we have a cold case of some strong bullish divergence in which we are putting in what can be considered the higher low, while putting in the lower low, while also allowing our RSI to correct and reset back towards a point of neutrality around 50 on the RSI again. Looking at our MACD, we did get that bullish cross once this big pump did happen, which puts us into the range of, recovering some of this lost ground and continuing towards the top side if we're able to break 174. And so considering the fact that we have seen our short-term indicators reset, considering the fact that we did revisit the 20 simple moving average on the daily Bollinger Bands, let's get this pulled up. Look at the daily Bollinger Bands. Looky here. We extended to the top side, we revisited. We extended to the top side, and on this wick right here, let me zoom in. We came back and we revisited right in this area. And what's important is that as we do revisit that 20 simple moving average, we hold it and we continue to the top side. Matic has a history of bouncing off of that level and continuing. Looky here. You can see this. Look, we worked our way up, came back down, worked our way up, came back down, worked our way up. And the moment we lost it, that was the first signal that we were going to enter into some type of downtrend here. But looky here, when we held this level of support right here, boom, continuation to the top side, and you can see it time and time and time again. So for those reasons, considering the fact that our indicators are resetting, we revisited the 20 simple moving average on the daily Bollinger Bands, and we have a clear level of significance at $1.74. That gives me the target of seeing 174 cleared on multiple 4-hour closes to be comfortable with the purchase. Now, going off of that though, one thing we have to be aware of is that Bitcoin itself is also in a bit of a stalemate here, right? We have this key level of resistance that we're struggling to get above. So if Bitcoin does continue, to fail here and we do start to see rejection towards the downside, Matic will follow. So what I am going to be doing is setting a stop loss below this key level here. We know this is an ascending level of support, so it's hard to give an exact number, but right now we're looking at about $1.55. Now that loss would be quite significant, but I would have the purpose of repurchasing if we were able to re-clear this at any given point. So my whole game plan is to purchase if we get multiple 4-hour closes above 174 with the stop loss set below this key level of ascending support. If at any given point the market crashes and we do come correcting back towards $1.34 to revisit the top side of this triangle, I will be able to exit this position early on with the idea to repurchase at lower levels there. So that's my game plan. That's what I'm looking forward to, and that's how I'm expecting this whole thing to play out with Matic. Now I do understand that if we do pull back towards the downside here, look for the bounce of support off of this ascending level here to put in that third point establishment of support here. We only have 2 points here, so it's not a full-blown support establishment. I would like to see a third point if we do fall, but if we do bounce, the game plan stays the same. Let's get back above 174, and if we do crash below this point here, do expect us to push back down towards these lower 145 to even 130 levels. But overall, I will continue to update you guys every other day on Matic. It does seem like you guys are really starting to pick up interest in it, and I do love Matic myself. I have a huge position in it in comparison to the rest of my alts, and so for that reason, I will continue these updates as long as you guys do want. So with that said, that is going to be about it for today's video, and of course, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, you can always let me know simply by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new, and I will see you all next time. Peace.